Alrighty, welcome to episode 132 of Tokwas Ask Us Anything. As usual, it's been a pretty busy news week. Tesla has introduced a new ultra-red colour to its Model S and Model X vehicles. The new colour, which is a cross between the past signature red and the present multicoat red, subtly resembles the midnight cherry red produced at Giga Berlin, although it doesn't quite have the depth of the Berlin colour. At this stage, Ultra Red is not currently available in Tesla's mid-sized Models 3 and Y, and it is not yet known if it will eventually be used on those models. Following on from paint improvements, Tesla has announced it has made various improvements to its S and X models, including Model S glass roof weight reduction. It has also increased visible light entering the cabin while simultaneously reducing ultraviolet exposure. Finally, its Plaid Model S and X have undergone brake pad enhancements, bringing improved braking performance. Tesla's fourth generation supercharger is about to be launched in Europe following the completion of 16 stalls at Harderwijk in the Netherlands. Featuring a longer cable and 1000 volt architecture, the V4 superchargers are set to greatly improve on the already impressive credentials of their V3 predecessors. And that was this week's news. Indeed it was, and a fairly brief news segment, to be honest. There were quite a few other bits of news, but some of them were sort of dubious origins, and some were just wrong, which we'll actually cover shortly. But before we do that, I'd like to invite anyone who is new to please, if you feel comfortable in doing so, introduce yourselves and tell us about your awesome cars that you either already have or have on order. So if anyone would like to unmute themselves and say hello, please do so.
Hi there, my name's Will. I've recently joined the Electric Vehicle Association, and Ant said to come and check this group out. Said it was really vibrant and had lots of interesting stuff. I sadly don't, I only can't afford a Tesla. I have an electric scooter, but I do hope to have an EV at some point. Maybe one, that's a bit more affordable at some stage. But yeah, great to be here. Hello.
Fantastic, and welcome, Will. And don't worry, we'll work out how to get you into a Tesla today, one way or another. Only kidding. But yeah, definitely welcome. Anyone else that would like to say hello and introduce themselves? No, we'll give you the 7 second timeout. That's okay. But if anyone is new and would like to do that later, that's perfectly cool too. Alrighty. Any questions or comments that anyone's got starting off?
Hello, it's Willem here.
Will?
Go, Will.
I just want to find out, is there any members that is using the Charge HQ app to charge their Teslas?
Yeah, I think there's a number.
I tried it for a while and it mucked up everything, and I got a new charger and it all turned out to be that software. So I'm not using that anymore, but other people may have good experiences, but I certainly didn't. So.
Okay. Yeah, that was what I was interested in, people's experiences of the software, because I started to use it recently.
And how did you find it, Willem? What was your experience?
It seems to be doing the job, because I set it to just charge from excess solar, and it ramps up. The minimum that it will charge at is 2 kilowatts, and then it will ramp up to how much you have available. Now, I haven't seen it up higher than 10 or 10 amps, or I think it's amps, 2 amps and 10 amps, sorry, not kilowatt, 2 amps. It starts at 2 amps and then ramps up to 10 amps. Now I have a Tesla wall charger, which is a maximum 16 amps, but it doesn't use the full capacity because I simply just don't have enough solar to do that. But so far so good. It's just plug and forget, basically.
Yeah, so you were describing a 3-phase installation there. So the minimum that you can deliver to the car is 5 amps, 3-phase. and obviously to get the power, you just multiply that
No.
by.
No, this app actually provides a minimum of 2 amps 3-phase.
That's really interesting because okay, and you've observed it actually delivering 2 amps 3-phase.
Yeah.
That's new to me because if you look on your charge screen in the car, the minimum you can select is
I think it's
5
5
amps.
amps. Yeah.
Whether it's
Yes.
single phase or 3-phase. So unless Charge
Yes.
HQ has got something else that the API has as far as an even lower charge setting, that's quite interesting.
Yeah, that is what I observed as well, because in the Tesla app, the lowest you can go is 5 as well. But the charge, even in the in the documentation of the app, it says the minimum that it will start at is 2.
Right, that's interesting. That's cool. And otherwise, your experience, I mean, understandably, because the maximum your car can draw is 11 kilowatts, which is 16 amps 3-phase. I mean, that is well beyond the scope of a residential, the vast
Yes.
majority of residential solar installations. So the
Um,
upper end
what I-
is kind of superfluous.
What I must say as well, I recently added battery storage to the solar that I have in the house, and that is what enabled me to use the app, because I have an Alpha ESS battery system. And then in the app, I linked it to the battery system software and the Tesla account. So that sort of sorts the whole thing out for me. So I guess that there's so many configurations that you can choose from, that I guess that depending on your configuration, you might have a different experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess the point is, if you're using it successfully and you're happy with its results, then by all means keep doing it. I think is it still free at the moment, Willem, or is there a
It's
monthly
free.
cost?
No, it's free, yeah.
Cool. Well, I think that's a good deal for as long as it's free. That's definitely, and you're finding that it's tracking your actual solar pretty well. So you're not over importing while you're charging the car.
It is tracking it very well, and there is an advanced settings where you can actually say consume from the grid or the solar, or consume only from the solar. So I just set it consume only from the solar.
Very good. Very good. Excellent. Alrighty. Now,
Just a quick one on that one. Just a quick one.
Yes.
I was speaking to Joseph. Now, Joseph, I don't think he's on tonight, but he's got quite a lot of knowledge on that. So he may be able to help you out on that one. If you get a chance to speak to Joseph at some of the meetups or something like that.
I would be interested to hear what he has to say, yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
if you
and
see
a
him at
shout
a
out-
meetup.
Absolutely. A shout out to Joseph, because he is watching this video as we speak, at least from his time frame. And he'll absolutely be happy to enlighten you, Wilhelm, on further sort of options and its full functionality. And he will certainly be at the next meetups. Speaking of which, there is a Tokwa Track Expo, and there are still 6 tickets available. This is going to be held at the DRM, the Driver Risk Management, at 16 Grogan Road, Perth Airport. And you get a 2-hour session for $75. The first session from 8 till 10 is sold out, but there are still 6 tickets available for the 10 to 12 session. So if anyone is still interested in scratching that itch of driving your car safely on a track that's designed for that purpose, and bearing in mind you don't actually have to race, or in fact you're not actually racing, you're really just going around the track as swiftly as you feel comfortable to do so, effectively in your own sort of mode, separated from the other cars. So if anyone is still interested, we have 6 tickets available. So please go on to try booking and
Is Pete going
make
to
a
be there?
booking.
Pete, are you racing? Just wanted to see if Pete's racing.
No,
Was he
I don't race, but
Are you doing the lawns this year, Pete? Are you going to be doing a bit of lawn, cutting the grass like you last year? That'd be good.
I never got on the lawn last year, Jared. That wasn't me. You get
Oh,
No.
okay.
up with some.
No,
Other-
it was the rearranger of traffic cones.
Yeah. Inside his car.
Paul's a bit more accurate there. Yes. Yeah,
I remember
I was-
because you almost clicked me. I think this time I'll just watch, not be Marshall.
It would be good to see that,
How
Peter.
about-
Oh, it'll be a good day though.
Yeah.
I was actually too slow to book, and the first session was booked out. I think I'll only be able to attend the first session. So if there's anyone that's more keen on the second session, please let me know, and I'll be more than happy to buy a second session ticket and swap with you. So
There you go.
Very good. Now, I'll just paste in the link to that try booking website in the chat. So if anyone here sees that, then feel free to click through. Or I think it's also on our Facebook page. So it's the TOCWA Facebook group. And there should be a link to the try booking website as well for anyone watching this before this coming Saturday to go onto Facebook and make a booking. And like I said, there are six people available, 6 spots available for a whole
And just on
$75
that-
for. Go, Pete.
yep. And just on that, if I buy a ticket, it will be 5. And I know there's another gentleman who's booking tonight, so it'll be down to 4 fairly quickly. So,
So get them in before
get
they're
on
all
there
gone.
It's good fun.
That's it.
And Pete, you'll be in the virus free section this year. You're going in open categories this year.
Yes, there'll be no COVID Cup
No.
award given at the end of the proceedings. Such a long time ago, 12 months. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Who would have
Good
thought?
memory, Jared.
Yeah, I can't go.
Oh, he's like an elephant. He doesn't fucking forget anything, man.
All up there.
Don't cross Jared.
Corner.
Well, speaking of elephants, we've got a rather good-looking elephant right here. And this was one of the news items that I thought was basically
Oh.
not news. So this is the Cybertruck as posted by Franz von Holzhausen, Tesla's head designer.
Franz van
And
Holzen.
the post that there was a news article, I sort of put that in inverted commas, saying that there might be some issues with the windscreen wiper yet again because it may fail to wipe the 80% requisite portion of the windscreen, which is an American law thing. Something that people should note, and I didn't actually, to be honest, bother to go and take a different image of this car and correct it for skew and all that sort of thing. But I think something that the authors of that news article might have missed is just because there's glass doesn't mean that's windscreen. So the windscreen does not necessarily legally go from this top corner to that top corner to this bottom corner to that one. It's actually a pretty precise definition, and you normally see, in fact, on all our cars, you see like an AS1 line. There's usually a little arrow, and it has it. Usually, in the old days, cars used to have a little portion of the top part of the windscreen that was tinted, and that actually is the part that constitutes the start of the windscreen. So clearly, we can see this black section here, which is not part of the windscreen by definition. And as far as the legal part of the windscreen, it's probably more like this section here, which actually starts. And if you look at just the bit behind Franz's head and this little arc here, that to my innocent eyes is looking like bucket loads above 80%. And the same thing is down here, this is really just the extension of the dash and is not part of the windscreen. So that was just one of those news articles that unfortunately pops up from time to time. It's a little bit clickbaity. It kind of looks interesting, but it ends up not being the case.
So did you see? Oh, sorry. Yeah.
You go on, Paul.
It's actually to do with Cybertruck. Did you see this Matthew Donegan Ryan YouTube stuff? It was he talked to Don Ju, about the Cybertruck and all that? And
No,
oh,
please enlighten us,
Okay.
because this is, it's not like it's not my favourite subject, that being the Cybertruck.
they have confirmed that the front opening was what I was talking about, like the Lightning, as opposed to the Model X. So that's actually really good news.
So what you're saying
So-
is basically that this section is attached to this section,
Yeah, and the whole
that
lot goes
thing,
up.
and the front, that whole thing comes up as one piece.
Yeah, it wasn't Tom Zhu that said it, but another employee to this guy, and he had a second source confirm that as well. So that's really good news. The bed is 6 foot. There's
Yes.
five seats. The
Yes.
screen is 18.5 inches. They've got an in-house accessories team, so like winches and other sort of stuff.
Very
Good.
And the dual motor and tri-motor will be the first vehicles that will be released. So the tri-motor is
Yeah, right.
still in existence, and I was like, "Oh, cool!" So, yeah, that was some pretty cool news. Got me pretty happy. 'Cause
So
I-
the deletion of the sixth seat, which is basically the middle
Yeah,
row of
it's-
the front seat.
yeah,
That the reasoning behind that is that every front row seat that is fitted or usable requires an airbag.
Yeah.
And I guess they probably worked out that it's really difficult to have an airbag where you've got the big touchscreen,
yeah,
and it's just not worth the expense
exactly.
to make that
And-
work properly.
And the windscreen wiper isn't the final design either.
Yes.
That's
And
what they
that's-
were saying. So you know how everyone was talking about it, and they're going, "That's not the final design." So maybe it's something different again or something.
Actually, on
The-
that windscreen wiper,
Yeah, right.
Harold, do you think with Australian versions of drive versions, do you think the windscreen wiper would be on the other side, on the
Absolute-
right hand side, rather than the left hand side?
Absolutely. It would by necessity, because literally by definition, we'd be then on the right hand side of the car, which is this side, and that's where you've actually got some of that missing cleanliness. So,
Yeah.
no doubt, the wiper would be on the opposite side.
Yeah.
It'd be a mirror image, so it would be in this region, and they would have configured that as a mirror image. Definitely, yeah. Good point, Pete, because it will not look like that. It'll literally be a mirror of that. And really, regardless of what they do with it, I personally am going to use Rain-X, and I don't care about the windscreen wiper. But hey, Tesla will sort it out. And who knows, it may also be something that sort of articulates, because you can imagine that this section here, if this has a cam sort of movement with some cables and off-centric actuators, you could have it go to the top part of this windscreen, and as it starts sweeping anti-clockwise, it actually extends itself out further and then tucks itself back in. So it could have like an elongated sweep,
Yeah,
and that's certainly doable, especially if you have more overlap between these two sections of rubber or neoprene, whatever it is. So it's going to be very interesting, and I guess we're going to find out what's going to happen in the next 6 months,
6 months.
perhaps.
yeah, and Giga Mexico's going to be built in 9 months apparently, and then vehicles, within 18 months of it starting. So I'm like,
That's the
That's gonna be-
ambition.
they'll do it. They'll do it.
Shanghai did it in 9.5 months
Yeah.
to commissioning, and I think it was 12 months to the first,
Yeah, I think so.
not prototypes, but first qualifying production versions coming out, which
Yeah.
is pretty awesome. Very awesome, actually, and really exciting. So hurry up, Mexico.
Yeah, definitely.
Alrighty, so has anyone got any other questions or comments at this stage?
James has his hand up.
Oh, apologies, James. Unmute.
Can't hear you, mate.
If you could just speak, that would be amazing. It's so good.
With the track day, can I, if I want to bring my father, Do I have to buy a separate ticket for him if he just wanted to do one session, or how would that work?
That should be fine, but he will have to fill out an additional
Yep.
safety
Okay.
declaration thingy.
He might not want to
But
do it, but
basically-
I'll buy a ticket and bring him in. If he can, he will.
Yes. Now, one
Jack-
thing to note is you can't bring passengers. Oh, sorry, Pete, go.
I was going to say exactly what you just said. Errol.
Okay, sorry, yeah. So one thing you cannot do on the track day is have a passenger. The track is not licensed for you to have a passenger in the car observing your awesome techniques with you. They have
He
to
was
do
just
that
he can
outside.
stand outside and watch.
Yes, preferably not attached to the car by any permanent means. But that's right. So you can
Couple of hockey
absolutely
straps.
do it. Yeah, that's right. That's it. Yep, Steve's got it. So absolutely. So it's spectators, and by the way, spectators are completely free. We will be making this as a casual meetup for everyone else that's not actually driving their awesome cars. Because as we've heard from Jared, sometimes interesting things happen safely. So
The fun.
so that'll be a casual meetup on top of the actual ticketed track day. So there you go.
Alex, you going to be there?
With the Cybertruck
Yes.
into the thing, but the Cybertruck. How about those old sequential windscreen wipers like they had on the old DAF trucks or whatever they were? That could look really good.
like these ones right here. Yes.
Supposed to be a GIF, but the GIF didn't work.
Oh, okay. Didn't this work here? Is that not running? No, you can't. Can
No.
you see that? Oh,
No.
No, it's
damn it. I'll have to download it and do it another way. That's very interesting. Sorry, let me just.
So I think DAF trucks had them, but you remember?
Yes. Image. Okay, here we go. Open. Save. Sorry about this. It's always fraught doing things live to camera. And we're almost there in a second. So let me find that while we talk about something. Oh, there we go. Found it. Here we go. Right. Second go. Can you see that? Nope. Yes, no.
no, it's not
no.
moving. No, it's not
It's
moving.
not working. Okay. Oh, not moving. Oh, sorry. Did you say? Oh, so James, you're saying it's a GIF?
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's a JPEG, James. That was a JPEG.
Go to the
Sorry.
link.
Oh, go to the link. Okay, windscreens. Gotcha. Different types
Great
of.
TV.
There you go. Really awesome.
Yay!
Pivotal radial.
Yeah.
Scroll down
Yeah,
to number
that's-
3.
Oh yes.
That's it.
Yeah, that's a bit weird because then you got the bit in the middle.
Yeah,
That's
that'd
okay.
suck.
What about a single? No, not that one. Oh, right. So it's a center. Mono blade. Oh, we could have a pantograph. Oh, that's the old. Yep. Right.
That's the old truck.
Let's stop that before
Yeah.
too many people leave us and unfollow us on YouTube
The effort.
because we've got dozens of people at risk. So it's all good. But that's very interesting, James. You know, I think the windscreen wiper has been a bit controversial in the Cybertruck. 'Cause obviously, the best part is no part, and if you use Rain-X, you kind of don't need a part, but the law says you do. So we'll see what happens.
It's like it's the same sort of discussion of like, you know, when they were talking about the Model 3 with the heads-up display. They went on and on and on and on and on about it. And now we all have hundreds of thousands of cars and no one gives a shit about that stuff. And I took a couple of people out for a spin this week. And they're like, oh, there's nothing there. And then I go, yeah, but it's there right in your peripheral while you're driving. And I looked at it and they went, oh, that is actually better. And I'm like, there, case in point.
And there was a little
Well,
car
what-
called the Mini that had its
Yeah,
speedometer
precisely.
in the dead center
In the middle.
Yeah, in the middle,
60 years ago
Yeah.
or so.
way before I was born.
Me too.
And also the Nissan Micra. Used to have that in the
Oh,
centre.
yes.
Used to have like a holographic type display in the middle that was, depending which way, it was either organised left or right, depending on left or right hand drive. And that was from the centre. So,
Oh, very
yeah,
good.
lots of cars have done it over a long time. But
The
it's a big
micro-
issue if Tesla do it.
And the thing too is most of the time in your Tesla, you'll be on autopilot or traffic aware cruise control, which will be at the speed limit. So you don't necessarily need to monitor speeds incessantly
Yeah.
like you do in other cars. And especially when you're going down hills in cruise control, it very efficiently and very accurately maintains the set speed limit, even on a fairly, well, on almost any slope, basically. Unlike ICE
Bring 'em out.
vehicles, which often run away, or they waver, they do that sort
The
of
ping pong.
5K, the ping pong, which Bjorn Nyland is fond of outlining on some of the other lesser EVs that he reviews.
And the best time of all is in school zones. Then you can actually watch for children rather than actually watching your speedo.
Precisely. And that's the most important thing to do, is watch out for hazards, not just for technicalities of speed. So that's pretty cool. Alrighty, have we got any new questions from anyone, perhaps? Anyone that's only recently gotten their tests?
I've got one on. I did email you actually in the week that I've got a trip up to Newman next Friday,
Ah, yes.
and I'm just wondering how I plan on. Well, how I plan on getting there in a minimum amount of time.
Qantas Airlines. That's probably the that's what I'd go with.
I want to drive it, to be honest. I do want to drive it, so I'm looking at a few options how I can do that and stopping overnight at Meekatharra.
Okay.
I believe. Go on.
Yeah, okay. So it's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
As we can see here, I've actually highlighted Tesla Fast, which is Tesla superchargers, CCS, which is the non-Tesla fast DC chargers,
What's the
Tesla, which is
vehicle?
the destination chargers, Type 2, which usually mostly requires a Type 2 to Type 2 cable, and three-phase, which is a Clipsal 32 amp three-phase outlet. Now, if you go the coastal route, which is obviously the long way to Newman, sorry, you're going, was it Newman or was it? Yeah, it was Newman, wasn't it?
Yeah, Newman. Yeah. So I was
Yep.
thinking Dalwallinu.
Dalwallinu. So Dalwallinu has a three-phase, and I think there's two three-phases actually.
Oh.
Yep, so that's a 20 amp three-phase at the sports ground, and then at
Yeah.
the old convent there is
I think it's a
32. I think that's a 30. I'm pretty sure it's a 32 amp. Yes, 32 amp three-phase at the old convent. So you've got that.
Would I get 32 amp?
So say that again.
I wouldn't get 32 amp on AC, would I?
No. But the point is that the connector is the standard 32 amp three-phase connector. You'd
Yeah.
actually get 16 amps three-phase, which is 11 kilowatts.
Yeah.
So the difference between the 20 amp, if you see PlugShare saying it's a 20 amp three-phase outlet, the 20 amp Clipsal plugs and outlets have a different size and design, so that there's an incompatibility between the 20 amp and the 32 amp. Even though your car only draws 16 amps, the most common format is that is posted on PlugShare is the 32 amp three-phase sockets. So they, like I said, they are at the old convent in Dalwallinu. If you went to the Dalwallinu sports ground, that's actually a 20 amp socket, which will be incompatible with your 32 amp plug. And then after that, there are no real official three-phase outlets.
No, so I was
short of
planning overnight
Newman.
at Meekatharra and hopefully just getting a 15 amp caravan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which would probably, and once I'm at Meekatharra, I can get to Newman from there, I think, with a full charge.
So what vehicle is it?
It's a long range.
Long range Model 3?
Yeah.
So have you done, what distances did you check out on something like Google Maps or whatever
Well,
for
I think
those
I got
intervals?
to Wallinger was about what, just under 300, about 296. So I thought if I got there on probably what 60% maybe, 50, well 50, 40 or 50%, that's probably a 3-hour charge, maybe 11 kilowatts. And then
So
I
you've
should
obviously
get,
got a long range Model 3.
yeah.
Yep.
And then I should get to Meekatharra on that full charge to charge
So what's-
overnight, then get to Newman.
So what's the distance between Meekatharra and Dalwhinnie?
I think it was about 425, something like that.
So the thing is, when you do road trips in the northwest or northern roads, or even any rural roads, what you'll find is that the tarmac is, well, it's not actually tarmac, it's chip seal. So it's just hot tar or oil, whatever, basically bitumen, poured onto the under formation, whatever that is, and then they just put blue metal of, I think it's 15 millimeter or whatever it is, blue metal straight on top, and that kind of sticks into the tar. So you'll notice that when you're driving those sort of roads, as opposed to say the freeway, if you drive on the freeway, it's dead quiet, really is dead quiet at 100 k's an hour. When you get onto the chip seal, it's very loud. So you've got a lot of road noise, and that road noise equates literally directly to wasted energy and a higher consumption, much higher consumption than if you're doing the same speed on a dead smooth tarmac of, say, the freeway. So the 420 kilometers you mentioned, you would,
That's 511. I've just looked it up.
Is that what it is? Is that
511.
from Dalwhinnie? Yeah,
Dalwhinnie.
Yeah.
I guess
So
that's going to be a tough ask. So
right. Even at a reduced speed like 90 or something like that, you think that'd be difficult?
We did 90, maybe.
you might have to do 80.
80.
I think
guess
what
the thing
I think what I'm trying to evaluate, Harold, is whether I can do it or whether I've just got to fly there, like Aaron said. So it's like I'd like to think I can do it, but I want to do it with just one night stay on the way up there.
Yeah, so the other alternative is if you go the other route, which just adds the distance between Nanyatara and Newman via Paraburdoo.
Into
Because there
Geraldton.
you've actually, you go Geraldton, that's right. So you go into Geraldton, then you go up to Carnarvon, then Nanyatara, Paraburdoo, and then Newman. Which
What's the what's that
is there a
distance?
road? Actually, you probably have to go through, because Paraburdoo may not have, because you've got the Karajini National Park. It looks like you'd have to go via Oski Roadhouse. So the thing is, it's going to be a long drive.
Yeah, because I think I think it's about 12, well, just under 1,200 k's through Meekatharra. If I went Geraldton way, I think it's about 1,600 k's. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes. So look, it's going to be a tough ask. You may need to do some charging. Actually, what you should do is contact Rob Dean through our Facebook. Just put up a post saying that you want to go to Newman, the short way.
Yeah.
And Rob may have some other alternative charging locations that are not on PlugShare, that are not publicly known. But that would, otherwise it's going to be too difficult and you're not going to enjoy your car doing it.
I think my big obstacle is from Dalwhinnie to Meekatharra being 525 k's. That's my biggest obstacle, yeah.
Could I just jump in here? My son currently lives in Newman, and I was looking at going up there, and I had a chat to Rob, and he said it can be done, but it takes a lot of planning.
Yeah.
And you're going to be stuck on a lot of 10 or 15 amp plugs. So I think Jared's idea of flying
is better,
or Virgin is the way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, mine's only a Model Y standard range, so I could get 400, 420 out of it, which would probably on those roads up there drop down to about 370. So I would be pushing the old proverbial brown
Proverbial.
stuff uphill.
How is Pete Harris looking at it?
I'm about to ask. So, Pete, is that a recording or are you doing this live?
He's
muted.
He's muted. You're muted, Pete. So if you can unmute, let us know if this is recorded or if it's live.
How's that?
Yes, gotcha.
I love old people with technology.
This is a Model 3 performance at the Security Policing Exhibition in Farnborough in the UK. And they've got in the boot some more stuff and a slightly bigger battery.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, that's
all exciting.
yeah, absolutely. So this is an actual police car that's in use, or is this a concept for a police car?
It's a concept, but they actually have made some. But this is the company that are putting the kit together.
They need to change the sign to intelligent police, not slow police.
Yeah. Champagne.
That is very good, Pete. That's a good scoop.
Yeah, it's magic, and they play James Bond on the sound system.
Oh.
So
Peter,
the brains that makes it all happen. This is the Tesla Owners Club in Australia having a yap at the moment. So.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, you go and do some
Very
more
good.
work.
Thanks for that, Pete.
You cannot see out the back window.
That's good.
Yeah, very good.
Right.
Awesome.
Thanks
for that, Pete. That's great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pete.
And I trust that you're having a great time on your little trip abroad.
I am, mate. Too many pints, but that's good.
How many
such
pints is
thing.
barely enough? Barely enough. To be sure.
It's bloody noisy here, so I'll bugger off and leave you to it. They've got
Yeah, no worries. No worries. Now, I thought someone else had their hand up, but James, you do have your hand up. I thought it was.
all right. Cherry bite.
See you, Pete. Thanks for joining us from abroad on the line.
He's like,
on the
I'm
phone.
not under abroad. Yeah.
Telling bone. James, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, Pakineski
Reminded me. The police car just reminded me. I don't know how many people have done this, but my daughter just passed her driving test yesterday in the Nissan Leaf. So she's did all 50 hours and did a test in an EV.
So the
Wow.
instructor feels sorry for her that she's driving this and leave.
You're allowed to use the Tesla in a test. You need to have a center handbrake.
Oh.
So you're not allowed to use
Oh,
it.
jeez.
So you need to tweet to Elon, or Elon will watch this and know. We need driving test mode, like a big stop button in the middle of the screen, so the driving assessor can slam his hand on the old stop button, and then we can get our licenses in Teslas.
What did she
You
find?
can,
Getting a license.
so you can do that. You can actually do that, but unfortunately, you've got to press the end button of your gear shifter stalk, which is on the wrong side of the car.
Yeah.
So it's on the wrong side of the steering wheel,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
In
So you have to
Australia.
reach right over in Australia.
So change that law, because there's a lot of cars for quite some time that haven't had the physical handbrakes. My Holden Volt, that's a 2013 model.
Oh, what
That
a
doesn't have
classic.
handbrake.
Yes, absolutely. And in fact, there are some people that have required, some older people that have needed a follow-up test, and they only had whatever it was, an EV that didn't have the control that James mentioned, like a handbrake basically. And what they actually found was they sometimes would provide a special endorsed examiner that they notionally claimed was endorsed for taking people for a spin or being taken for a spin without a handbrake that's accessible. So
How do you talk about Nigel and Richard Cooper when they have to get their license every year, they get the special guy come out.
The leaf, they wouldn't use that at Joondalup, but at West Perth, they were happy with it.
They take old people there.
Exactly. Now we've got Wendy that's got a hand up. So Wendy, please go ahead.
Hi guys, thanks for having this forum open to everybody. I'd like to represent the minority, the obvious minority here. But I brought my co-driver along tonight, and he's got a question for all of you, and I'm here to take notes.
Hi guys. So we got a Model Y 3 weeks ago. It's mostly a city slicker, but we want to go down south. Now, some people are saying if we put it in chill mode, we will get way better range than standard mode. Is that?
Nope. Not if you're going down the highway. Chill mode does very, very little. All it will do is impede your overtaking ability slightly. Chill mode is really for people that can't trust themselves not to moderate their right pedal usage.
Right.
It's sort of almost like perhaps they feel that they may be tempted to floor it, and they just don't want that ready temptation, so they put the car in chill mode. And when you're driving around town, if you are doing that sort of behaviour of really flooring it everywhere, then chill mode will have an effect on range, positive effect. But on the on a highway, when you're just cruising on cruise control, for example, makes zero difference, because on cruise control or autopilot, the car is actually making all of the acceleration decisions, not you. And there is no difference between how it behaves in chill mode or normal mode while in autopilot or cruise control.
Actually, a good example is Harold and I, when we went around Australia in our Model Y, the exact same that you have. I didn't put it into chill mode once. Did you, Harold?
No. Of course. It's never been in chill mode ever.
Yeah.
So
I'm totally taking it out of chill mode tomorrow morning.
It's not.
If you want chill mode, you should have bought a Nissan Leaf.
That's exactly right.
What
That's
he
exactly
said.
right.
Still drive a petrol car.
Yeah, the good thing, the reason why I don't put it into chill mode, even on long trips where you're really trying to get every kilometre out of the battery, is if anything was to happen, you know that's the great thing about the Tesla, is that you've got that torque under your foot. So if you are in a potentially dangerous situation, you can either take your foot off in hold mode and the car starts to brake while your foot is still on the accelerator before it even makes it onto the brake pedal. Alternatively, you can push the pedal, the accelerator right down and get yourself quickly out of that dangerous situation. So from a safety perspective, and there was a lot of kangaroos on the trip. So the way standard mode is the way to go.
Just trust your right foot to do the right thing.
Yeah. Hey, second question quickly. Is Tesla bringing out a kangaroo identification situation? Like it does people, does cones?
Bins on bin day.
Yeah, bins.
It's been requested times on Twitter, but
okay,
yet to get a bite out of Elon.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. Thank you.
Well, actually, it's funny you sort of mentioned that, because there is a tweet that's gone out. This is to do with FSD beta, and this was from Chuck Cook, who has done a lot of FSD beta videos in the States. And there's actually an interesting part of one of his reels, one of his videos, that actually shows it identifying this thing, which I'll bring up in 2 seconds.
There, it finally got out of the passing lane. I was wondering how long. Ooh, tire. You see that?
Yeah. Damn it.
Yep. Wow. I don't know where it came from, but there was a rolling.
Damn it.
Yep. Wow.
And notice how it doesn't really show a tire, it just shows a blob moving. but it actually does show that the car can tell that is actually something coming towards it or in its general direction. And the great thing is that it actually didn't disengage and it kept on driving because it knew that that object, didn't quite know what it was, but it knew it was something important, wasn't going to collide with it. So Kangaroo's really is just another step. Whether it shows as a modified pedestrian or something doesn't really matter as long as it slows down. And I don't know if
Kangaroo, it didn't show anything. I couldn't see anything. The car broke, and then I saw the kangaroo run across.
Oh, really? Wow.
Goomalling.
Cool. Yep.
Going over a bridge, it sort of came up, so I didn't see it at all. I thought it was phantom braking. I was about to override it, and there was a kangaroo in the middle of the road.
Wow.
There you go. So there's the answer to that. But it may not show on the screen as obviously a kangaroo because that requires a little bit of extra
Because I was
programming.
busy. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Cool. Anyone got any other questions or comments? Anything in the news, or just a basic question, really?
Just a quick one, if I can. Oh, am I on? Yeah.
Yes.
Just a quick one. I'm going back to the UK next month, or later on this month, actually. And when I'm over there, if I'm actually want to use the app over there or any other apps like charge apps, what are the issues with getting them in the UK when you've got an Australian phone?
I think I can talk to this one. So I had a couple of people that rented my car, and it's interesting. So a guy from Canada, he used his app, no problems at all. A guy from the US used his app, no problem at all. But the last guy from the UK wasn't able to use it. And he downloaded another app under another username, still wasn't able to use it. And what he had to do was select Australia when he when he set up a third account, and then it worked. So yeah, it might just be the UK. I'm not sure. I did let Tesla know about it, and and that was the solution that we worked out, but that was actually Tesla's recommendation as well.
So I can speak even a bit more precisely than that. I hired a Model Y in Vienna, in Austria, and I had the same thing. I was sent a driver permission link where you basically accept the link with your Tesla app on your phone, and it then allows you to take control of that car. It didn't work because it said something like configuration incompatibility or something like that. So then I had to actually, obviously coming from Australia, had to start a new Tesla account, and all I did was use a different email address and then specify a European, or in this case it was a Viennese address. Yeah. So what I actually raised this at one of the regular meetings that the club has with Tesla, and they said that Tesla Europe, or EMEA, actually have a different server to the rest of the world, and therefore, because it's different, it won't accept effectively roaming or whatever with a Tesla app that's not, or an account that's not domiciled in Europe.
So Harold, that would explain why the Canadian and American had no problems, but why the guy from the UK had issues.
Because the UK, even though it's not in the EU, it is in the EMA jurisdiction.
It's on that server,
on a different server, yes. And that might have to do with things like the DP, what's it called? The digital rights thingy.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, whatever they have in Europe.
Yeah,
so there's a different server.
The EU set up for that.
Yep. So that's the situation. It's a little bit frustrating. I don't know if I'll ever fix it, or maybe they'll say it can't sort of be fixed. I don't know. So that is useful to know. If you're from Australia, you're going to Europe, just set up just use another Gmail email address and just put in any address. Doesn't have to be well, it has to be a real address, but it doesn't have to be your address. It can be anything in the EU, and then you can accept driver requests or control requests or offers from other people if you're renting the car. The only frustrating thing then is if you want to look what your car is doing at home, you've got to log out of that account on your phone and then log back in, unless you sort of install that app on your partner's phone and use your partner's phone for, say, the Australian car and your phone for the UK car.
And I also guess you couldn't transfer your profile.
No, that was a shame too, because I hired a Model Y long range, which you can't yet order in Australia. And I really was looking forward to the profiles moving across, but it just wasn't going to happen.
No.
So, but one thing I did note is it was it became a new profile with, and it was titled that new email address when I was driving around Austria. And the great thing is when you remove vehicle access, it actually deletes all your waypoints, all your navigation destinations, and all of those sort of private settings, and it deletes it off the car straight away. So you don't have to manually do that yourself, which is a great security or privacy feature.
That's brilliant. Well, on the same thing as that, what about things like or charging and that sort of thing? If you need to actually enroll on those, did you have any problems with that?
Oh yeah, I did actually. I was in the Czech Republic, and I looked up, I forget what the app was. I did look up PlugShare, and I saw that there were some charges in Prague that were useful, that were nearby. And I downloaded the app, and that actually worked. Not all apps do work. Some.
That's the thing. That's what I've heard.
I was once in the new net. Just hang on, two seconds, Nigel. So I was once in the Netherlands, and I think I was in Amsterdam, and there was a EV charging network called Smooth. I think it was SMOOV for Victor, and I went to download it because it was actually in a great parking spot, to be honest. But I thought, well, if it's a great parking spot, I'll plug in and charge and pay for charging. And I could not download the Smooth app because Apple said that it was out of my jurisdiction, and that became a problem. And I had a similar thing in the Czech Republic where I think one of the charger things wouldn't allow, it said out of jurisdiction. The other one, when I added a billing method and I used my Australian credit card, it said your billing address or billing region is out of region. And then I had to use my Austrian Visa debit card, and that then did work. So unless you've got a European credit card system or card, then you may find some problems. And go, Nigel, you were going to say.
Yeah, like Pete, when I had my Model 3 rented out, the guy from England couldn't download ChargeFox and register it here because his phone was British. But I've just had a thought, when you're over there, forget iPhone, they're a heap of doo-doo. If you've got a decent Android, I'm just wondering if
What's a decent Android?
There isn't such a thing.
Yeah, Nigel, you set up a VPN and go VPN to come out in England or whichever country you are, it will then think that's where you are. Now, I don't know about registering your credit card. That might still be a problem. But using a VPN, you may be able to download it. I don't know. I've never tried it. It's just a thought I had.
Well,
I don't know about the Android system. I have a non-Android, but it's frustrating. There's a great video by Bjorn Nyland that was actually filmed in Amsterdam, I think, but it was certainly the Netherlands some years ago. I think perhaps 3 years ago. And it was sort of a bit of a parody on the state of affair that we have at the moment, which is you've got a multitude of charging networks and a multitude of apps, multitude of RFID cards, and you've also got tap and go credit cards, which universally works almost everywhere in the world, generally. So Bjorn was sort of making fun of the charging networks by saying, well, what if I went to the pizza shop and in order to buy a pizza, I had to go and download and register on the Joe's Pizza app and pay for my pizza. And then he walks into a different shop. It was an ice cream shop. And instead of being able to pay with your tap and go to get an ice cream, you had to go and use the ice cream shop's special RFID card that you had previously registered and then connected a credit card to. And he sort of walked in and out of a few different shops, showing that, you know, that is obviously something we would never accept, and it would be laughable actually to do that. But that's precisely what we are forced to go through with charging networks. So for example, Smart Charge, ChargeFox, Everty, EV, and this is just Australia. One great thing is the upcoming WA EV network, which is the 49 locations with fast DC charging facilities. One great thing in Australia, or in Western Australia, is that that system will be able to be used with a standard Visa or MasterCard credit or debit RFID tap and go card.
Yeah, tap and go.
Without any apps. And I do presume that would probably work internationally as well. It ought to work internationally as well. No apps, no RFID cards, just your Visa, MasterCard, credit, debit,
and
tap and go cards.
The tap and go with your credit card is a great idea. Last weekend, I was talking to some of these charging providers, and I was asking, I looked at one of their units and it had got like an RFID thing on there. I said, oh, that's just a credit card. And he goes, no, you still have to have our RFID card. I go, well, why? And he said, because we need to be able to charge idle fees. And you cannot do it if they just walk up and tap their Visa card. He said, we need to be able to send them an SMS message to say that their charging is just about finished. And then that if you don't move it, you'll be charged idle fees. Then we can charge idle fees. So they need to be able to register their phone number and their credit card details with a company, and therefore get some sort of RFID. Might be just the phone, but you can't just use a simple tap and go if you want to charge idle fees. And I think in WA, they're using ChargeFox and have told them we need to be able to charge idle fees in a year or two.
So I actually, respectfully disagree with that prior sort of rationalization or reasoning, saying, well, because we need to charge idle fees and we can't, they say they can't do that with a tap and go. I disagree respectfully, because what you can do is, and what all of these RFID card systems have to do, or the credit card ones, is they will do a pre-authorization of a certain amount. So the average charging session, if you've got a 100 kilowatt hour battery or 60 kilowatt hour battery, is $33 or whatever it is, depending on the cost per kilowatt hour. But say if it's 50, 60 cents, which we know the WEV network is 60 cents per kilowatt hour, it's roughly $33, $35, whatever. So what you could do is you could put a $100 pre-authorization on, which means you could then have a scope to, even if the car was fully charged from flat to full, there's still scope to consume an extra $60 odd in idle fees, which if you, without, and that's guaranteed because you've already got the pre-authorization. So if you went to Coles and got yourself a $100 Visa debit card, that means that, you know, there will be pre-authorization. You could then extract up to another $60 out of, or a bit more, of idle fees. Now, as far as notifications are concerned, yes, it's nicer that you get notifications, because then as a conscientious sort of person, you could then be told that the car is finished charging, and then you might have a grace period to get back to it. But the fact is, providing there's signage and everyone understands that you're not supposed to park there, the onus is on the actual owner of the car to be aware of what they're doing. Most of these charging sessions will be quite brief because they are fast DC chargers, and you really need to be within a few minutes of your car and keep track either on your own car's app, or if there isn't one, just hang around or do a mental note. This is going to take 20 minutes and I'll come back in 18 or something and suss it out.
I did challenge him on this and said, all you've got to do is have a sign on that charger when they're unplugging it to say idle fees will be charged. And he goes, well, yeah, you could, but it's not necessarily the way to go in some states and legalities and so on. And I just thought he was getting it. They want to collect data. They want to collect people's email.
That's exactly what they want to do, because data means money. And that's all it is. And what he's given you there is simply just an excuse. At the end of the day, what it comes down to is you've got to balance there is no perfect system, but you've got to balance not being able to get a notification on your phone versus having 11 apps. I've just counted, I've got 11 different apps on my mobile phone with my credit card, with 11 different app providers. And when my credit card expires, I've got to go into 11 apps and update my credit card details 11 times. It's ridiculous.
Oh, I totally agree, Peter. And the other interesting thing that I saw, I think it was ACT, have just passed a law to state that if you're icing an EV charging station, you can be fined $3,300, and an EV not charging in an EV charging spot can be fined $2,200, something like that. And I'm looking at that going, now, that is one hell of a bloody fine.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Now, we could do with that in WA. That would solve a few problems.
Oh yeah, that Model X owner would fund the electric highway.
Absolutely, good point, PV.
Now, unfortunately, for everyone in YouTube land, and my sincere apologies, I'm going to have to cut the YouTube video here or in a moment because I've got a very important person that I need to see. So, Pete, and for everyone who's on Zoom at the moment, please do not leave. You'll be boxing on happily without me, and possibly even more entertainedly so. But Pete, how would you round out a rather awesome show like this?
As always, stay safe, stay sustainable, and stay ahead of the curve.
And the best way to do that is buy a Tesla, join TOCWA, and ask us anything about accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. Good night, everyone. Really look forward to seeing you on next week's episode of Ask Us Anything.